this. Is there anything you want the fans to know or any last thing you want to say to them before we get to see this series tonight?
This is where the fun begins.
Hold on. Okay.
Hey everyone, Jenna Mike here, and I'm back with another video. Hope you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me? See some folks already in the building. Shout to Wally. Shout to Wally. Shout to the big bad bull, man. I haven't seen you in a while, man. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. All right, y'all. This is my breakdown and discussion of episode 4 of AHSOKA, Disney Plus show that's going on right now and they just dropped a big ball on Tuesday. A big bomb ending and cliffhanger, and a lot of people. You see my reaction. You see on my my YouTube Shorts, on my TikTok. You can also check that as well. Same as at Jedi Mike 7. You can find my reaction to the ending and everything. So we're gonna break it all down. I know some people are confused, and if you're watching also in the pre-recording, make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. And let me know your thoughts on this video, because I'm going to be explaining things. I'm going deep dive in terms of the lore of Star Wars, Clone Wars, Rebels, all of it, so you guys won't be confused going into next week, right? But I just want to shout out some folks in the comments right now. Shout out to Wally in the building, and then shout out to anybody watching or pre-recording. Thank you for stopping by. So let's episode 4 of AHSOKA. Now, we did have episode 3, wasn't able to review it, but after what happened this last week episode, it's just we're combining it all together and everything, right? So we're still on this search to basically get Balin and Shin and the Night Sister basically to go to find this map, and that they're trying to track this coordinates to basically get a Grand Admiral Thrawn. Everybody, basically now in this whole samurai environment now, where they're on this planet, and basically, the ship is down, so they're basically gonna have to do some repairs as they're trying to go get Balin and the Night Sisters and everything like that, and also the unspoken Merrick Inquisitor, whatever, which you already found out what happened to him, but we're gonna go into it. So yeah, y'all, this when they were going to starting with this episode, one thing that again I just really liked was with is that Ahsoka is basically having this conversation with Sabine and basically saying, "Are you willing to make sacrifices for the greater good?" Right? Metaphorically, paraphrase right now, but and basically she's just knowing that what's presented to her or what's about to happen, that we're going to basically be making hard choices and saying, Sabine, will you be willing to do that? Right? And she's like saying, why wouldn't I? Right? Because her heart is still on trying to find Ezra, still trying to find Ezra, right? And as we go into the more further into the episode and everything, you for one this whole entire season, you basically see Sabine as basically had his weight on her shoulders about Ezra's not here, and you later find out that that's basically the missing family that she had. But Ahsoka, they're just trying to for the sake it's between either saving Ezra or trying to make sure Thrawn doesn't come back. She's gonna make sure Thrawn doesn't come back. All right, but there's a lot of things, moving parts in here. But I got to let me make sure. I need to share my screen here. Shoot, struggle streaming already. Let me see here. Yeah, so one, I got to shout out this dude right here. Let me make sure I present. Share screen. Share screen. There we go. Shout out to this brother right here. Man, this was the MVP of this entire show. I'm talking about Eric Stevenson, Balin. Listen, rest in peace, man. I'm really Ray Stevenson's I'm really disappointed in the fact that again that he passed away and everything, but he's just been a fantastic character throughout this entire show. And the one thing, again, as I addressed in the last previous stream about the lightsaber color, is that the orange color represents power, like the Sith, which is dark, the red representing the dark side. The blue, the orange color represents power, which is one thing that Balin has been keep reiterating, saying, listen, some people strive for greater good, whatever. I just strive for power, because he knows that much of we just got this victory with the Empire, and now we're in this new republic. He knows for a fact the tide's about to turn, and he won't be on the winning side, which is the Empire. Which we already know where this is going to go, because we're stuck in this time gap between the sequel trilogy, The Force Awakens, and the Return of the Jedi, which is where most of these Disney Plus shows are being taking place, aside from Obi-Wan and Andor and stuff like that. But yeah, this is one right crucial timeline before we get into the inception of the First Order. But again, in order to do that, we have to first find where Grand Admiral Thrawn is, though. But Ray Stevenson, as he's he's a former Jedi, he remembers Anakin, and he basically has a level of respect for Ahsoka. Listen, I know who your master is, right? And it's a shame he didn't want to kill her. And I think the level of there's only many few Jedi left during this time, that most folks want to be like, hey, listen, are we Jedi hunters, or are we just exterminate them? But him, he's like, no, I don't want to kill her, but I do if I have to. And I really appreciate what they were trying to do with this character. Again, just every scene that he's in, he's captivating, definitely giving a medieval knight feel, especially with him and his apprentice Shin Hati. But one second, let me see her. But before I even get into the big moments that happen in this episode, I also want to give also a shout out to Rosario Dawson. The combat in this entire episode was off the freaking chain. This is the first time, one of the first time I actually feel that I got a sense that Star Wars was back in terms of prequels, because I don't care what anybody says about the prequels and everything. The prequels had the best lightsaber combat in the entire saga. There's no ifs and buts about it. But yeah, I just wanted to let y'all know. One second. There you go. You can see that. Yeah, I just want to let y'all know. This was the combat in this episode was captivating. You felt drawn to each character in the scene, especially when we get into the big fight between Ahsoka and Baylan Skoll. Like, for one, this is one of the first time that actually you've seen in live action that Ahsoka's dealing with someone that basically is her match, because you have someone who was trained during the height of the Jedi Order during the prequels, right? Where she was trained. And usually before we, some of the criticism of the show is that a lot of people keep saying that Ahsoka is overpowered and that she has a very stoic, thing about her. But to me, canonically, that's just tied to basically her history and what she's gone through throughout her history in the Skywalker saga and everything now beyond it. But when this episode you saw now, like, this is like she's getting to a point where we have to break her down to basically build her up, which I think this was going to happen in episode 5. But Baylan, the lightsaber fight styles, if you guys don't understand in terms of the lore, the stances that they were having, especially what she did when she knocked out Merrick was a Obi-Wan move. When we got two moves to take out Darth Maul, that was off the chain. But again, with Baylan, the combat that he was having when he was fighting Ahsoka, again, just every blow he was giving was insinuating power. Very a heavy fighter, but also again going back to the old medieval knights. Knights and basically really were fighting their swords with one hand, because like usually the swords are really, really heavy, so you use two hands instead of one. The same thing goes with samurais. Like the Jedi, Star Wars is based off of terms of the samurai stories back in the old, like, in the 70s or 80s, definitely around early 70s or 60s. And moments of, like, pacing might be a little bit slow to build up the anticipation of the rest of the scene, and I thought they did a great job with that. Now I also want to talk about Shin Hati's fight with Sabine, because again we had this conversation about Sabine being force sensitive and her basically struggling within the force and stuff like that. But again, as I'm going to be breaking down this episode, talking about that, the force is a lot of living things, right? But anything you train, you get good at, right? But I think it's also some criticism of people thinking that does she have to be a Jedi to order to be an interesting character? And I don't think that's necessarily the case. I just think that because of Ezra, which I'm really focused on with that storyline, because of Ezra, that's probably why she want to tap more into the Force so she can find him. But I thought this whole fight that he had with Shinati was really good. But again, I like it that they didn't make it like she was that Sabine was overpowered. She tied back to her Mandalorian training and everything. That's where she was raised. Wearing her armor, which is made of Beskar, and using her actual weapons as a Mandalorian. I think that's one thing people were criticizing, like, hey, where's the flamethrower? Where's your blasters and stuff like that? And we've seen that in Star Wars Rebels, but we have now seen a live action sense where she's not really tied to her Mandalorian heritage, which we've been almost more Mandalorian smothered with all the content we'll be getting with Bo-Katan and Mandalorian, Din Djarin and Baby Yoda and all stuff like that, and the Book of Boba Fett. We've basically been smothered with Mandalorians in terms of content recently. But again, I think that one thing I really love with this fight, but even when that she was still bested by Shin, is that when she replied to her that you have no power, again, she thought she was about to use the Force, but then she didn't, or at least it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. And I love that. I love the fact that they didn't, give her a Rise of Skywalker Rey moment where she's like, where you get all this the same amount of power from? You can't move a cup and now you're lifting rocks and mountains and shit, like whatever. I think that's very, just terms of her story of the writing of her character, I think makes sense. And I think the decision that she's making in this episode, when we get to later in the end, I think again, I think what she's doing is very justified and makes sense. Could there be nitpicking there? Absolutely. But I like the fact that, she did what ties back to her Mandalorian combat while she's fighting a Shin. Now, as we're getting to this at the same time, we're also having Sabine basically grabbing a bunch of fleets to basically go and save Ahsoka. Now, in the previous episode, she basically was not able to get the amount of resource she wanted as a general because people don't believe Thrawn is out there, even though we know otherwise, right? But then she still used her, her authority as a general to at least gather a few members from the Phoenix Squadron to basically accompany her along with her son Jason, who is also the son of Kanan from Star Wars Rebels as well. But yeah, I thought that was let's see if I get a picture here. There we go. Shout out to Mandrell in the building. I'm about to put the link up in a minute, but I have to go through my case of actually explaining things so you guys can understand what's going on. So first, I'm giving my recap of the episode, and then I'm actually going to go into some concepts I need y'all to pay attention to. Yeah, but shout out to Mandrell in the building. Shout out to Mandrell. But yeah, so Hera, now they're on their way to basically go and save Ahsoka and Sabine. Now, I forgot what the robot's name who've been trained Jedi. I forgot, played by David Tennant. What was his name? But anyway, they do definitely get some combat between two of the droids, fighting each other and everything. And I thought that was cool. Like we got action, from many different vectors in this show. But again, I just really like when they were doing that scene as he was preparing the ship, and then he's had a little bit of combat skills because he's been training, Jedi for centuries. So in the Jedi Temple, so it just made perfect sense when they were doing that. Excuse me. Excuse me, I had to grab my grab a drink. But yeah, y'all. So then we get back to basically Ahsoka basically being bested by Balin, and let me get this shot right here. Right. There we go. Y'all see that? So yeah, so basically being bested by Balin, and then it gets to a point where Shin Hati shows up, but she thinks that Sabine is dead, right? And then that's when she throws him, throws her into a wall, whatever. And basically, Balin wasn't having that and kept besting her until Sabine showed up, threatened to say, "Hey, let her go, or I'll destroy the key or device." Right? Wait, what did he say? Couldn't move a matchbox ball. All of a sudden, he can move a bunch of big boulders. Right? But yeah, but I like the fact that release with Sabine didn't do that. But again, then this came to a crucial part where Sabine had a choice whether she was going to destroy the device or not, right? But then go back to the point of making the hard decisions, knowing that you're probably not going to get what you want, right? Because this is a scene where Balin actually didn't want to harm her, but he was like, "Listen, I know that you you care about Ezra Bridger. That's the last family you got, because what's been confirmed is that her family, the Mandalorians, are dead. Her core family, because you have the Mandalorian purge that happened this has been addressed in previous Mandalorian seasons. But for Sabine, that her family is dead. So now the only thing left is Ezra, who's not blood related, but still is a close person to her. And that's her driving force now. So she know that the only way to get to get Ezra back is basically to give him this key. So when he gave it to her, when she gave it back to him, I actually appreciate the fact that in terms of in the script, that they allowed her to make that decision and it made sense. Whether you call it dumb or whatever, it made sense for her to do that, and that is good writing in terms of a character who is making the hard choice, a selfish decision, but understandable decision at best. We understand why she's making that. But then as we get to this, we actually get the final, the Night Sister basically got the final coordinates to basically go and get this ship, this hyperspace drive thing, coordinates in the deep vacuum of space, right? But then all of a sudden, Ahsoka, she gets knocked off the bridge or off the cliff and everything. and you don't know where she went. But yeah, he gives she gives it to him and everything, and then all of a sudden, they got the coordinates, and as uh Hera, uh her fleet is coming to go basically try to get Ahsoka and everything. They're running right into the hyper space device, that actually able to transport people into hyperspace in more conveniently. This is what you saw in the prequels. But they basically just went right through them, and a few of the X-wing fighters didn't make it. But then you had the son, saying the famous line, "Oh, I think I got a bad feeling about this." But as we go back into this to the scene and everything, we see Ahsoka, or we see the river, the ocean shore, basically just transitioning by, right? And as we're seeing this, all of a sudden we see Ahsoka, but we don't know where she's at. As you can see, the background is very misty and everything, you think watery, whatever. She's like, where is she? Now, for us, the Star Wars fans, some of us knew where the hell she was, right? Because this is the part where we got into the world between worlds, right? I'm going to explain what the world between worlds is just in a second. But she's in this space and she don't know how she got here. But as she's like walking in here, all of a sudden she hears a voice, and the voice says, "Hey, Snips." Hey, Snips is something that one of character very close to her said while they're in the Clone Wars, and that was Anakin Skywalker. Now, again, you don't know where it's coming from, and this is a great shot. You see the world between worlds right here, yeah. So you don't know where this is coming from, and some people don't even know where the hell we are, right? But then all of a sudden you keep hearing the voice again. She's like, "Master," and then it responded that I didn't expect to see you so soon. And as she turned around, then everybody in Star Wars, especially myself, either cried, flipped out, because we saw an old friend again, that person, Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker. And not just any type of way. We see him in his classic Revenge of the Sith attire. And also, if you also look in terms of uh the continuity wise, this is exactly what he looked like the last time Ahsoka saw Anakin in the Clone Wars. We know they reunited when he became Vader, and everything like that. But that was the last time we were able to see Anakin, and it was just nice to see him just bring back the prequel vibes again and everything like that. And I was just really happy they still kept Hayden. Now there was some criticism about his face. There was criticism about his face because people had issues with the fact that in Obi-Wan Kenobi he looked old as hell, but now that you look at here, they got a little bit of CGI or some visual effects on this on the shot, whatever. But I think it looks fine in my opinion. I know people are trying to say look like Uncanny Valley, but that's not here or there. Now the question is asking people like, well, listen, what's going on? Is where is she? Now this is where we get to the part about the world between worlds, right? And I'm gonna explain what the world between worlds is. Is a concept that was introduced in Star Wars Rebels, a very very not too long ago, about like 5 years ago. One second. So, give me 1 second, y'all. I share. Stop sharing. Okay. Now, one here. Concept here. Says the world right here. What is the world between worlds, right? Second. Where's the damn thing at? Yeah. Sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So, what is the world between worlds? Now, you see here, to see this picture right here. I'm gonna explain to you in just a second. Now, so 1 second here. So, the world between worlds, as I'm explaining to you guys right now, is a basically essentially another plane of existence on a transit in time and space, right? So, uh, this is a space where you're basically out of space and time, and you're walking on this path, and that's basically accessed through the Force. In Star Wars Rebels, Dave Filoni explained in an interview that it was inspired by basically C.S. Lewis's novel *The Magician Apprentice*, where a crazed scientist discovered a way to access the wood between the world between worlds, or it's called the wood between worlds in that in that book, and basically a force where every pool in the wood is linked to a different point in space and time, right? Now, uh, this is the Star Wars equivalent to basically Chronicles of Narnia. Like you go into the space where you go into a closet and you go into a different point in space or time. Um, but it's basically the same portals that in a way that you're able to go one point into space and time another, meaning that technically. I can go from one point in time to another. I can go one planet to another planet, and or one point in history to another, and basically it's time travel. But the concept of that is very very different. The precise nature of the world between worlds is unclear, but it appears to be a dimensional plane where two aspects of the force and the cosmic force that binds the universe together, and the living force where it's associated with life coming together in the union, right? And this is basically where Dave Filoni, the creator of Star Wars Rebels and who also showrunner for this show, he basically said you have to be careful when you're moving through these big, powerful dimensions and what you're wishing for. Filoni cautions reflecting on the episode in which Ezra, and you get into here, this is the episode where, well, there we go. Ezra explore the world between worlds. Everything Ezra wishes for out loud is a dangerous thing to do. If you watch and listen when Ezra talks and he makes certain statements, there'll be a thunderclap, and the thunder is representative of something else is listening. There's multiple things going on in there, and everything becomes a choice between how you want to use your power and control and influence others. Right? No doubt that it was where the distinction between the light and the dark side comes in. But the dark side seeks to use the world between worlds, which what Palpatine almost did, um, believing is the key to enormous power, while the light side would crave only wisdom through this. So the only thing that this MacGuffin is used for the light side is for wisdom and information. But for the dark side, people use this to actually try to gain enormous power. Now, there's also as another question is how did she actually get to that point? How did Ahsoka, when she fell off that cliff, basically show appeared in the world between worlds? Because usually either you have to go through a portal or someone pulled you into it. The only person we saw was someone that looks like Anakin Skywalker. Now I have my apprehensions of thinking who that this person is Anakin Skywalker, only because at the end of that scene, if you put the subtitles on when he appears, you see the caption Vader's theme. Now Vader is supposed to be dead, but Anakin Skywalker is still a Force ghost by the timeline of Return of the Jedi and everything. So why did it say the Vader's theme? And also, why is Anakin Skywalker there? Is he a Force ghost? Because usually, if you're a Force ghost, we see you glow. You look very human and very basic like there to me. And the only way you can get into this point in time is someone either you go through a portal, which most of them have been destroyed, or you've been pulled through in the world between worlds by somebody, right? So this is basically the MacGuffin, the world between worlds, which is what you see here. Now, What this means for the upcoming episode 5, I do not know. Because again, this was Ahsoka was saved by Ezra when there was a fight between Ahsoka and Darth Vader in Star Wars Rebel, and Ahsoka pulled her out in space and time. I know, just stay with me, and actually save her, which is the scene you see here right now. Right now, the question is how this can be applying to the rest of the season. And again, it's like, is Ahsoka can basically going through points in history, because we don't know. Episode 5 is left to be a very, very important episode for Star Wars moving forward. The fact that we have seen the World Between Worlds live action, we see Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, and we see the Master and the Apprentice. When the first meeting was done back in 2009, and Star Wars: The Clone Wars film, which came out when I was only 11 years old, and that moment when they showed up, it just meant the world to me as a fan. But 1 second. It works differently in the World Between Worlds. Yeah, hold on a second. I'm about to. This dropped. Like, might as well. So but yeah, 1 second. And there you go. But it's interesting to note that Ahsoka herself has strong ties to World Between Worlds, right? Let me see. I won't say my notes here. 1 second. That she, where is it? That she would have died in the battle between Darth Vader if it was not for the intervention of Ezra Bridger from the World Between Worlds, who put her out of her place in the timeline and returned her back shortly after. And now going into basically why the time travel doesn't basically break Star Wars canon is only because some viewers were concerned. Were obviously like that time travel can lead to basically a bunch of issues in the canon, because we've seen time travel in Marvel and DC, and basically kind of make things more confusing than they actually did off rip. But Filoni always insisted that it won't be an issue. It's not really a thing where you go through one door and out another in a different time. He explains it in a feature in Star Wars Rebels season 4. He basically, you can gain knowledge of the future or the future that may happen, and you can see things that happen in the past. You can at times choose to alter them, but it's perilous to do so when you alter something you don't know if that is not the way it always or meant to happen. So it's always a thing about precognition and everything like that. Like about Murphy laws. Like, if anything can happen, it will happen. So the point of time being explained in Star Wars is based off of the C.S. Lewis story, and it's basically the same thing as Chronicles of Narnia. But I see you, Mandrell. Second. All right. Catch you. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
Yeah, so I was
the World Between Worlds works differently, man. It's a force nexus. It's much like that planet that Yoda went to when he fought. He saw he got trained by those 5 sisters.
Yes.
Yeah, it's much like that, where it's a pure source of it. So a force ghost in that area, as well as on certain planets like that, they can become corporeal. They can touch, feel. You can touch them, feel them, the whole 9 yards. You know what I'm saying? It works differently there. So if you're well in tune with the Force, if you learn how to become a Force ghost, which Anakin never actually learned, so how he became a Force ghost, hey, MacGuffin.
Right.
Let's retro that. Okay. Let's retcon it and then bring it back again, re-retcon it like we never retconned it to begin with. Let's do that. You know what I'm saying? which is what they did. I mean, I think Dave Filoni should just listen, give him carte blanche, get Kathleen Kennedy out of there. She clearly doesn't know what she's doing. People want a good story. That's what people, and they want to be entertained too, but they want a good story, And these people don't know how to do that. It seems like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are the only two people who know how to do that.
Yeah. So
my
issue literally with this with AHSOKA is that this is the first time I felt in a while that when they're producing something that they actually cared, or at least
for a long time it is. You were 11 when the Clone Wars came out.
It came out in 2009, so I was 11.
God damn, dude! I was shooting Hachi over there.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I really was. I'm thinking about it. I actually was getting in gunfights.
It was
in 2009. Jeez, you were 11.
Yeah, so I'm 2 years older. I was born in 98, so 2 years.
God, Mike, 98.
Yeah. So I'll be 25 this year.
I'm 20 years older than you.
I think exactly. Yeah. So you were born in 1988. No, 78. Excuse me.
Yeah, I just turned 45 on the 29th of August.
Yeah. So.
Jesus, man. I heard that. Anyway.
20 years your junior. So
I'm sitting talking to a guy who could be my son about Star Wars. Imagine that, people. Life's a trip like that. Don't take it for granted.
I want to ask, did you actually? What was your overall thoughts of you've seen the previous episodes? Before
the last episode, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And even Critical Drinker did a thing about what lightsabers would actually do to your body. He's actually quite astute. He's actually correct. Like you would instantaneously explode if you actually get impaled by one. You're done within a second. Within 1 second, you just explode. Boom, done. So when people have that much criticism, I say, listen, take it in stride. It's fiction. You know what I'm saying? That's really all we can do. But I didn't like it. The show has been okay up until that previous episode last week. Last week was just like, oh God, you went backwards. This is worse. I was intrigued at first, but now I don't. If this is what it is, I don't care. And this one comes out, and it's like they kind of the last episode took so much out of me. This one didn't have the impact on it that I wanted it to have. I wanted to have the same reaction as you did, but I was so convinced that this is going to be another sequel trilogy type, blunder that I was like, can we have another season of The Mandalorian? That's the only thing they got right.
Yeah, well,
what I mean? So I watched it. I was like, I'm in good spirits. I'm like, okay, so someone over there knows what they're doing. Thank you. A good episode out of one of these things. Disney, thank you, because you blew Secret Wars. I don't know how you did it.
Secret Invasion's horrible.
Yeah, I don't know how you did it.
And I'm gonna work on a stream around next week or so about the superhero fatigue.
That's not fatigue. It's just piss poor writing, dude.
My argument is saying is superhero fatigue real, right? And I was basically the argument saying it's not superhero fatigue, it's mediocre fatigue, right? And I literally was on a stream last night. Friends of mine that basically the issue that Marvel's going through right now is what Star Wars went through back in 2017 with The Last Jedi. Is that once the last Jedi came out, everything that they were producing was basically mediocre to like medium okay, and then everything kind of went down the drain after that. Because regardless of what you want to admit it, Force Awakens, whether when people hated it, it still was a decent first one. Like, all right, this was a good one, okay, and they gave this one a pass. But it's like, all right, now what about the second one? What? This is some bullshit, man. Well,
I think they were being too nice with that first one, The Force Awakens.
I think so too.
It should have been renamed Star Wars Greatest Hits, because it was a reboot of like they just took some of the best elements of the previous film, the original trilogy, and chunked it all up into one film. Like that's all he did. What do we got for an ultimate weapon? Another Death Star. Why? You can't think of anything better? I mean, listen, fans have come up with far superior stories. And it's fan fiction. Those they come up with stories that I would actually like to see on film. And most people would too. It's interesting stuff. It's just I don't know what the deal is, if they're afraid of taking a chance or they just want and they just want to be safe. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but whatever it is, they need to get their heads out of whatever bucket they've got it hidden in, man. It's terrible.
So,
And like you said, the superhero fatigue, it's mediocrity fatigue. I agree with you on that. Secret Wars, how you blunder that, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Like, my thing is, like, I felt, because at least with the first two episodes of AHSOKA, I'm like, okay, this is actually pretty good. You know, it's not the
Right.
best
I was like, okay, yeah,
it's the best thing ever. But everyone's like, AHSOKA will not save Star Wars. Now, listen, just because I think this, like, where this show is getting, like, right now is one of my favorite Star Wars shows right now, just because the story that they're doing, what I want as a Star Wars fan, they're doing, and it is why hyperbole, aside from the Anakin, thing, that was probably one of the best Star Wars episodes I've seen from Disney Plus, because one, you had lightsaber fights, you had combat, you had the Force, you had mystery, discovery, you had X-wing fighters, all these things that make Star Wars. You had it, and you paced it up to a crescendo, and then boom, all right, and then you left the same with the cliffhanger. Which, again, the fact that if this was serialized, it makes sense, because some people were mad, like, oh, that's bad writing that you ended off with Anakin. I'm like, no, you got too much.
How's that bad writing? Like, some people are just way too much with the criticism, man. Listen,
but here's the thing. I think the issue is the fact that stuff has been so mediocre for so long, it blinds you to think that anything at least that's decent, you actually acknowledge it. You're like, nah, it's still BS woke, SGW stuff, all this stuff like that. But then if it's actually just decent, not that it's the best thing ever, it's okay. Then it's like, no, it can't be okay. It gotta be either the greatest thing of all time or horrible.
Right. But it's just, I think they just confuse their audience now. The audience is expecting trash.
Yeah, because listen,
the comeback is easy. Should be easy, because we're expecting them to produce trash. That's what we're expecting.
Right, and we got 2 episodes. Like, and the 5th episode is actually going to be they're going to be select theaters for them to actually show the episode in theaters. Episode 5, which I'm like, okay, well, that must mean this might be a big episode. I ain't going to motherfucking theater with a filler for
right,
like
So. I think, and I hope it's not like last episode where it's like 30 minutes. That's unacceptable. Yeah, one of those episodes it was 30 minutes long. I was like, and honestly, Mike, I was not going to watch this episode because of that. I was like, done. Yeah, well, I just got up and walked out. I was done. I was like 30 minutes. No, done. No.
Well, I think with that is that's the Disney Plus curse. Is because if you have shows that come out and work within 6 episodes, right, and then you're gonna have one that's at least a filler. Either gonna be episode 3, episode 4. Episode 5 is usually the best episode, in terms of Disney Plus shows, or Marvel or Star Wars, right? But then you have episode 6, which is the finale of that season, which then what most people say either is rush or very, very slow.
Yeah, so if you my thing is this: if you have an 8-episode season, there should never be any filler. You don't have enough time for that. There's not enough time in an 8-episode series for you to do filler. That whole thing should be one cohesive story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The whole thing, and it's disappointing to see them do that. The Mandalorian worked because of the writing. It was really good.
Now, I have a question.
Boba Fett had everything it needed to be successful except the writing. All the characters, fantastic cast, the acting, chef's kiss. The actors did the best they could with what they had. Terrible writing.
Mm-hmm.
But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I hear you. But I want to also address one thing before I wrap things up, because I have to explain what the world between worlds. But I don't believe that's Anakin Skywalker, because there's also another concept I have to introduce here. And hold on a second, make sure I do it correctly. And that is the with the Mortis gods, right? Now, the Mortis gods are basically these individuals right here. So
yeah, I'm aware of them. Yeah,
so
the father, the son, and the daughter. Here's the thing: wait until see in the novels, Luke ran into the mother. Her name was Abeloth. And listen, as powerful as Luke is in the novels, she would ragdoll him. Like, I mean, seriously, like she was ridiculously powerful, man. Like, because you know how this story goes, right? One is of darkness, one is
Yeah,
of the light, and one is in the middle.
right.
Well,
Which is the father.
with the father, right? He's the gray. He's in the middle. Um, the mother, she, because there's a well that the son drank out of that was from the dark. It was pure dark side force, right?
Yes.
Pure. And there's a pool that the daughter bathed in. That's pure light side. So the mother bathed in the light side pool, then went over to the fountain and drank from the dark side fountain, and it just corrupted her, man. Her body couldn't. Her body. She wasn't one of their species. Their species could handle it mentally and everything. She couldn't. She was a regular human, and it corrupted her, dude. She turned into some kind of a monster, and she was just ridiculously powerful.
Yeah. So with this, I believe that the Mortis gods are going to come and play into this, because my question is, how did Ahsoka actually get into the world between worlds? Because she has connection with the daughter, because in the Clone Wars, I think I forgot what was the episode number. It was season 3, episode 15 to through 17, which people kind of refer to as the Mortis trilogy. As basically representing the father, the son, and daughter, which you can also see that as being a nod to Christianity, because also just the thing, the thing about with the Force is that the Jedi is a form of religion, just like the Sith are, right? And when the argument keep coming up, talking about people with the about Sabine having the Force and everything, the Force is in all living things, and the as you see in Star Wars, at least the Force is represented as the father, the daughter, and the brother, in terms of the daughter representing light side, the brother representing dark, and the father representing the balance. Not to, as terms of Trinity, as in the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? Which is, again, even though that these Mortis gods in Star Wars are not worshipped, but the Force itself is worshipped. So therefore, that's which is basically what they represent. And in that episode, in that trilogy, Anakin was actually supposed to, he is the chosen one that's supposed to represent the being the balance of the Force. And after we've been through the Skywalker arc and everything, with the Return of Jedi, he died. Now he's the Force ghost and stuff, and now the Force is now balanced. So technically, while looking and seeing him in the world between worlds here, I'm like, okay, if it is Anakin, that would make sense, because he should have replaced the father's position as the balance to the Force. Right? Now, the reason why I don't think it's him, I actually think it's the brother. I actually think it's the brother representing the dark side, is because when that scene happened, and when the video, you see the music start playing, and you have a subtitle. It said Vader's theme. Now, music is very crucial to Star Wars. So you're saying you're playing Vader's theme, but yet it's supposed to be Anakin. Vader's dead. So either that's someone, and we've seen the Mortis gods use camouflage or whatever. They try to transform and look to bring memories back to haunt you and everything like that, so to deceive you. So we've seen this done before. But I was asking you, Mandrell, like, do you actually think that's actually Anakin?
I'm hoping it's Anakin. I'm hoping it, because, well, here's my thing. The Obi-Wan series was trash. It should have ended in tragedy. That should not have been a happy ending. It should not have been. Vader is, I hate how they nerf him. You know what I'm saying? Vader is supposed to be the ultimate badass. This dude used the Force to destroy a friggin' planet in the novels and comic books. He destroyed an entire army by himself in the comics. Him and a lightsaber in the Force. That's it. A whole thousands of people, Mike. And he just lays waste to them in this huge, heavy, hulking suit. Where's that? Obi-Wan tries to move. He can disconnect himself from the Force. Tries to move a matchbox. Can't do it. Oh man, it's so hard. Oh, it's moving less than an inch. I can't. Oh, it's so hard. The next day, he's 10 feet in front of stormtroopers who can't shoot him. Vader's ripping starships out of the sky, but all of a sudden, the guy who can't lift a matchbox, the next day, he's lifting huge, heavy boulders, practically a mountain, and hurling them at Darth Vader, like they did in that Star Wars game. Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
yeah, because I play that game still to this day. Actually, I
Mhm.
play it. Yeah. No to Obi-Wan. But do I think it's him? I'm hoping it's him. Now, if it's the brother, I don't think they have enough episodes to really flesh that out because there's too many people who haven't seen Rebels, so they already don't know what the World Between Worlds is. So they don't know what's going on. And there's not enough time to flesh that out and let people know who it is.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, I got to go. I got to take this call.
Yeah, and I'm about to end it right now. But thanks, man, for stopping by, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, y'all, that was Mandrell in the building. Make sure you go subscribe to his channel, to Mandrell, and also shout out to his sister, My Sorrow, Shushu. But yeah, y'all, that's why I just wanted to kind of bring it to your attention about the Mortis gods, because they are very crucial in terms of Star Wars lore. And I think they're going to apply to implications moving forward because, again, who's representing the balance now? We see Ahsoka as representing the daughter because of the light side of the Force. And we're seeing now that she's kind of moving into this Gandalf, the white type of transition because she's been saved not once, not twice, but at this point, 3 times by the Mortis gods in some form or fashion or with the World Between Worlds. So it's like there's a reason why she's staying alive in this. But he said Mortis gods in the universe of Jedi. Yes. So again, and because you have to understand that the Force, the Jedi is a form of religion. So just as there might be many different religions, there's also entities of God and everything. But the thing is that these people are not worshipped, right? And there's still many things are unknown about them, but we do just know what they are what they represent, the Force, right? The Clone Wars. But again, I give you this context. You gotta watch Star Wars, the Clone Wars, season 3, episode 15, 16, and 17. And I think they're very crucial. And then when we go to Star Wars Rebels, you gotta watch the World Between Worlds episode with Ezra when he goes to save Ahsoka by taking Ahsoka from the timeline while she's fighting Vader and bring her in and save her and stuff like that. So I think those things are very too crucial for you to understand that. But I just believe in symbolism, and I believe what they're doing moving forward is that this is going to come into play because Dave Filoni has been building this off for years. Shout out to Just Jay in the building. Shout out to Just Jay. Hope you're doing well. But this is just very, very crucial. Now, again, like I said, I don't believe that at the end that was Anakin, just because the music that was playing was hyphen Vader's theme. Now I just know that I just don't want to be duped. But my only thing is that when Anakin showed up, to me that was just a feeling that I had since I was a kid watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars back in 2009. I was only 11 years old, right? And I think that moment is same thing. It's equivalent to Luke showing up in Mandalorian season 2. But I hope next week episode that they give us something like a flashback with a younger Ahsoka and Anakin, and also have her something to actually make amends for what happened with her between her and Anakin, because she left the Jedi Order. She left him, and when Baylan Skoll was basically taunting her and telling her, "Listen, you left the Jedi Order. You left him, right?" And she's saying, "I'm not here to discuss my past." But as she was doing that, she could tell she was getting aggressive because there's some wounds that she have not attended to fully. And I feel like having this opportunity in the World Between Worlds to talk to Anakin now as a Force ghost or some form or fashion, I hope. But again, I just cannot wait for next week's episode of Ahsoka. But yeah, guys, this let me know what you guys thought about this review breakdown. I will be going live next Monday, just kind of giving just predictions about what's going on with Jay King and everything. He'll be available. But yeah, make sure you guys hit subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let me know your thoughts about this episode 4 of Ahsoka. Till next time, Jedi Mike 7. Peace. We are